Good afternoon, good evening, good day, ladies and gentlemen. We want to welcome each and every one of you to SKTV. Welcome to today's edition. Welcome to the show. And welcome to each and every one of you. Um, Today, as you can see, the headline or the topic, we are playing host here to Professor Alaric Tokpa. Uh, we're playing host here to Professor Alaric Tokpa today in a conversation with him. Um, Lots of expectations from Liberians all around the world for this conversation. We want to welcome each and every one of you. Um, let's share the show, please. Let's invite someone to the conversation this afternoon. Um, as we get started here with the show, momentarily we would have Sekou and Telvi join us at some point during this interview, or during this conversation. But we want to welcome each and every one of you to the show. Help us to share the show as we will be playing host here to Professor Alaric Tokpa. Um, Help us to share the show, invite someone. It does look promising. Um, Invite someone to the show. Let's share the show, guys. Don't be mean. Don't be selfish. Share the show. Uh, Invite someone. We are on SKTV today for another session or another segment, as we would say. But let's invite people. Let's share the show. Today is Sunday, July 3rd, 2022. I want to welcome each and every one of you to the show. Those of you watching us from Liberia, following us via the radio in Liberia. I know the guys from the radio were just on to log off, but they'll be back on in a very short moment here. We did speak in the back end. I think we are all set and ready. Share the show while you are here. Professor Alaric Tokpa is in the back end as well. Our guest is already here. But as you already know, as you're already aware, this is something that we do customarily. We normally do the introductions, play the music, and then before we get into the conversation, we'll be bringing Professor Alaric Tokpa on momentarily. But let's share the show, guys. A lot of information. I'm excited about this interview for some reason because it would bring about some historical facts, some of maybe the missing pieces that we might not have had the opportunity to read in books, to listen to on the news, and via other mediums that we've gotten information from. Maybe Professor Alaric Tokpa would be able to fill in some of these missing pieces about our history, especially the war, what happened, and what's going on, and how we can forge forward as a country and as a people. So definitely, this conversation is very, very important. It's critically important that you invite someone, share with your groups, with your contacts. Those of you that are sharing, thank you so much. We do intend to share the show as much as we can. Tomorrow we'll be playing host to the Secretary General of the Liberty Party, Martin Kohler. He will be our guest for tomorrow's show. He will be our guest. So we started the July 4th. Again, we're going to end the July 4th with the conversation. So in the meantime, let's share the show. Let's get others involved. Let's get others on here. Tomorrow we'll also be bringing you other news. There are a lot of things going on in other news. There are a lot of things going on in other news, but today it's not the day for other news. Fortunately, we have a guest that we would have to honor here and pay attention to. But there are a lot of things going on in the country. We'll also be speaking with Professor Alaric Tokpa about the DAL. Those of you that would like to find out about the DAL, what it means, what it's formed for, to get information like we say in America from the horse's mouth. And so a lot of good things, good information would be disseminated here today. The expectation is you would also have the opportunity to participate as audience so that you can ask your question to get clarity or answers or whatever you are seeking, and for the librarian pool to benefit at large. Let's share the show, guys. Thanks to those that are following from Liberia. Normally, let's give it the next 1 or 2 more minutes before we get to the musical break here. Share the show. We would be recognizing 1 or 2 people quick, and get to this. Again, our guest is already here. He's in the back. And yes. And we expect the guys from Liberia to be joining us in any moment from now. Sis Gloria, good to see you. Good to see you, my sister, my big sister. Much love to you. I'm coming North Dakota to visit very soon. I come to visit you. I've been promising to visit. I got a show face. You Metro, welcome to the show. Life for Fana, welcome to the show. Marriott, welcome to the show. Eric, welcome to the show. E. Maluba, welcome to the show. Elijah, following from EW, welcome to the show. Rose Russell, welcome to the show. Guys, let's share the show, please, as we get on to this all-important conversation with Professor Alaric Tokpa here. Let's share the show as we get on to this all-important conversation. Let's get to the musical break really quick. And right after the musical break, we will be bringing on our guests, as always. We're bringing on our guests to ask our questions, to interact. Interestingly, just before we get to the musical break, I'd like to announce to you that, one of the qualities and one of the expectations for today, one of the expectations I have for today is Professor Alaric Tokpa does not mince his words. He doesn't fool around. He keeps it strict, 100%. I've listened to him. I've followed him. And I like his style of communication, in all honesty. He might not be your typical politician that will try to be politically correct. I've not seen that. I've not heard that from him. He says it as it is, whether you like it or not. Like we're saying, like, bro, we move, but he will say it, and that's hard to really find these days. So I'd say, that's something that we should expect: the strict forwardness, the boldness, and keeping it real and 100%. I would say in the U.S. here, But let's go to our man Friday, Robert. Friday here. Let's go to Friday, the cell phone man here, as we share the show, guys. Thank you. We don't know copyright to this song. right, thank you. Without any time to waste here, I'd like to bring on our guest really, really quick. Friday um, has been doing us well and wonderful. Let's bring on our guest really quick. As part of as part of our disclaimer, normally before we welcome our guests, we'd like to make this disclaimer to our viewers, especially those on the live feed that are participating. Please be respectful to our guests as you've always been. Most of you have been very respectful, very cooperative, even in your disagreements. You've been able to channel your disagreement in a more respectful and honorable way. We appreciate you for that. We expect the same for Professor Alaric Tokpa today. Um, that being said, we'd like to welcome Professor Alaric Tokpa to the show this morning here in Phoenix, Arizona. Professor Alaric Tokpa, welcome to the show. Welcome to SKTV.
Thank you so much, Steve, for the invitation.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, wonderful. Well, it's
Can
an
you hear
honor to
me?
have. Yes, we can. We can hear you here. Well, it's an honor to have you on, and thanks for accepting our invitation to be on the show today with us. Um, some have heard your name, some have heard about you or of you. Um, really, some have heard your name, some have heard about you, and so the question now is, who is Alaric Tokpa?
Let me begin by greeting you and your colleagues and all your viewers and listeners. And thank you for the invitation to this interview and conversation. Much has been said, so much analysis has been made about past and current developments in Liberia. So I would now want to bore you and your audience with the answers to interview questions, answers that many of them may already have. So I propose that we have more conversation and interaction. Alaric Tokpa is an educator and a farmer. Those are the work areas in which I have more passion. Again, thank you for the invitation.
All right. Well, thank you for the introduction. I believe many would have expected a lot more, but thank you for making it concise, straight to the point. Those of you following us from the radio in Liberia, we have Emmanuel Johnson, Johnson Mayborn with us today. Johnson, can you hear us?
Yeah, yes. I'm getting you loud and clear, Steve.
Okay, well, we want to greet our people before we get into the questionnaire here with Professor Alaric Tokpa because we are about to get started.
Yes, all right. So I want to say good evening to those of you here in Radio Land here in Liberia. If you are outside of Liberia, maybe in the US of A, I guess it's in the morning time. So yes, the program comes away every Saturday and Sunday from 6 o'clock straight to 8 o'clock. So if you're there, don't you dare test your doubts, get it set and get your radio set for the program on tonight.
Thank you, Johnson. Those of you following us on, listen via the radio on True FM 96.1, we want to say welcome to the conversation / interview here with Professor Alaric Tokpa. We'd like to start off this conversation. It seems as though many of in the political arena now in Liberia comprises of lots of young people, of which might not be aware of 1980, the coup, and maybe what happened, what led to the coup. Would you mind telling us what led to 1980, the coup, and how did Doe and the rest of the guys took over? If you have any knowledge of it, please.
The coup d'etat of 1980 was a violent intervention in Liberian politics. The coup makers announced the reasons why they conducted the coup. There are many theories about what the actual coup makers were. But we make historical analysis more or less on reality that we have observed. So the coup makers professed that they made a coup because there was rampant corruption, abuse of power, and misuse of public office. So I believe that there was legitimate and popular reason for the making of the coup. If there were to be an intervention in the Liberian political process today, I contend that the same reasons that applied in 1980 will today be legitimate and popular. Because the character of government administration is essentially the same or worse. However, it has to be said that the reason why the military, for example, may intervene in politics cannot necessarily be explained by the reasons why they say they have intervened. Because the causes of their intervention exist in society. There was a marginalization of the mass majority of our people from the political process. Electoral politics was highly distorted. There was a superficial participation that was announced by government, but in reality, a one-party state existed that dominated the politics of Liberia, that decided who would become president and who the legislators were to be. There was some amount of economic dissatisfaction. Social services were largely lacking in the society. Because bear in mind that serving Monrovia is not necessarily serving the whole of Liberia. And serving parts of Monrovia does not necessarily mean that you're serving the Liberian people who live in Monrovia town, still the majority. So the coup happened because there were remote historical causes, but there were immediate causes. We can just not be categorical about the analysis of developments in Liberia. We have to be patient to allow other factors to explain political developments in Liberia. I'm suggesting, therefore, that social, political, economic dissatisfaction motivated the application of violence in Liberian politics. If social science research is correct in the analysis, and I believe it is, those root causes and antecedent factors that led to the application of violence in politics are still applicable today.
Okay. All right. They're still applicable today. So fast forward to this entire coup situation in 1980, it is also reported that you were directly affected by this or impacted. So my question to you now is, what happened to you? How did you get involved?
The question is almost unclear. In what way was I affected by the coup?
Well, it's reported that you were arrested and detained.
That is actually laughable. I am not one of those that was arrested when the coup took place. I was a first year university when the coup took place. As a matter of fact, in year one of my entry in the university after I had graduated from Tokpa High School, where I served as chairman of the Student Uhuru Movement, the Student Freedom Movement, that was the leading political party in Tokpa High School. There was a by-election in the Student Unification Party, and I was elected as assisting general secretary of SUP.
Mm-hmm.
The following year, I was elected as general secretary of SUP. At the same time, my colleagues had asked me to serve as general secretary of the Liberia National Students Union. It is in that capacity that I wrote a statement that was signed by the leader, the president of the University of Liberia Students Union, Comrade Siafa, the president of Siafa Blackie, the president of Continental University College,
Mm-hmm.
the president of the Race Junior College, or at least the outgoing president of Race Junior College, my friend and brother, Mayango Wilson. His son, on behalf of James Kwa, of blessed memory. It was a statement that opposed the ban on student democratic political activities. While the government of Liberia was opposing the participation of opposition parties in national democratic elections, we in the leadership of the student movement were encouraging elections in the schools, in the secondary schools, in the universities, the Cotton University, of course, my friend and brother, Comrade Clon Brownell of Maryland Technical University, which is now Topman University, this signed that statement as well. So we're arrested for opposing a statement made by Samuel Doe, the military leader, on the eve of Christmas in 1981, a statement in which he banned student political activities.
Mm-hmm.
For opposing that statement, our arrest was ordered. We're not arrested. The government was unable to arrest us. The security forces were unable to arrest us. We're on the ground. Then we decided that we have committed no crime. We have to go to the university authorities and discuss the situation. Fortunately, we had a dynamic and progressive president of the University of Liberia, Mary Anthony Brown Sherman, a woman who have exemplified the power, the leadership ability and capacity of Liberian women. A woman who has demonstrated the brilliance of Liberian women in administration, mainly in the academy. And I'm sure, had she even been given the opportunity, she would have made a better Liberian leader. So we presented ourselves to the university administration. The university administration contacted the Council of Churches. It is the council of churches that arrange that will turn ourselves into the government authorities. Sorry. Should I continue?
Yes, please.
So we turned ourselves in and we're taking to the National Security Agency, NSA, on UN Drive. We're tried by the tribunal. We had no representation. We had no counsel. We had no representation by lawyers. We defended ourselves. And the military sentenced us a firing squad. In late January, the 6 of us were sentenced to death by firing squad, which will be executed. But the pressure from our people, the pressure from below, and also, I believe, international influence on the decision of Doe did not allow the execution. But our prison life was made very difficult. We knew that we were close to death. But we were reprieved. Clemency was tenet. And I attribute my existence today to the resolve of the Liberian people to defend our land at that time. That is why when in 1984 I was arrested, eventually sent to Belela jail along with my colleagues. Before I left Monrovia, I wrote back a letter. Some of our comrades were in exile in Ethiopia. Some had gone to different countries. But that letter was read, and it reached some of our comrades in Ethiopia. One of them brought back a copy of the letter that we had sent, or I had sent out of prison. That another torture, nor intimidation, nor death will make me bow my head. I will remain committed to the struggle for as long as forever. According to these comrades, the letter inspired them. And I'm proud today, I don't like to personalize, that I was inspiring my comrades even from prison. And today, no torture or intimidation nor death will make me abandon the struggle of the Liberian people. I will remain committed on the final victory.
I will remain committed on the final victory. So just to clarify something really quick, I hope we're not missing anything here. Did you get arrested twice? Because if you were arrested in 1984, did you also get arrested 1981?
1982 January and 1984, yes.
Okay.
No, really. No. My colleagues got arrested. The arrest started with Pagibo. Okay. Yes, okay. I got arrested on January 4, 1985. Because the arrest started on, I think, December 3rd. And then I went underground. But I was arrested at gunpoint. There were 2 attempts. The last succeeded. In the first attempt, at Catholic Hospital, I resisted arrest successfully. But the arresting officer was not armed.
Okay.
He knew more about me anyway. In the second attempt, I was arrested at gunpoint. But that's a different story. Had I not been arrested at gunpoint, I would have resisted also. Even at that, I did resist it, and I was told that they were going to shoot. I said, shoot. I will shoot. There was a friend of mine with me on that day. But I had been informed that based on conversation that had been held in certain embassies, I was going to be arrested. And I knew I was going to be arrested.
Okay, just before I pivot, really.
Kayibana Do. Kayibana Do is with me on when I was arrested. And when they threatened to shoot, My concern was to have him get away from me. And I told him to leave and run like hell. So I ran behind. And after some time, I was overpowered and arrested on gunpoint at St. Patrick, that was near St. Patrick High School, which is now Stella Marie.
Okay.
Yes.
So just before we pivot or move fast forward, I wanted to ask you two questions in one. And the first part of this question is, what does final victory means to you? What does it look like? That's the first part of it. And the second part also is, are you a member of the Progressive?
I'm the leader of the Social Democrats in the Progressive community.
Okay.
When we reach a point where there is a fundamental rearrangement of government administration, the structures, the manners and functions of government, agencies and ministries and institutions, when we reach the point where the integrity of the ballot is highly respected, when we reach the point where the legitimate rights of the people of our country and their interests in our constitution is respected, when we reach a point where attention is paid to the basic needs of our people, attention to the obvious, education, health services, employment, housing, roads, infrastructure development, trade that brings mutual benefit to the Liberian government, people, and business class as it benefits foreign investors. When we reach a point where we stop the stealing of wealth by foreign companies, the enjoyment of that wealth by Liberian officials, and the suffering of poor people, when we reach the point where we can give environmental justice, happiness to our people, pay attention to the state of security, and not only the state of security, as I've named earlier, such as social services, when we reach the point where our young ladies, our young men can be free of drug abuse in our society, can be free of negative political influences, I'm sure we'll be coming closer to final victory. And to reach final victory does not imply that I have any intention to be alive when it comes. My responsibility is struggle towards that end. In struggling towards that end as an educator, my duty is to give theoretical tool to the new generation that will continue to prosecute the struggle. So no critical circumstances in Liberian politics will stop me from recalibrating and giving a formula that will bring relief to our political class in that country, mainly the grassroots.
Mainly the grassroots. Thank you. Mainly the grassroots. That's an important statement that would take me into the next, to pivot here a little bit, to move fast forward into the elite-led government or other governments after former President Doe, other governments that took over. What do you make of the Chancellor, the elite-led government, in terms of rampant corruption, nepotism, and everything else that you've enumerated here today?
They were all the same.
They were all the same?
In varying degrees.
Would you mind providing some clarity and context to what you've just said? Because someone could say to us, it's relative.
The criminal government of George Weah is an extension of those governments. A continuation of those governments. So I do not like to pay much attention to the discussion of individual governments as much as I want to pay attention to regime analysis. It is an autocracy The autocracy may come in the form of a democracy, a dictatorship, but essentially, when you bring it all together,
right,
from Toba to Wia, those are governments in which the presidency is unnecessarily very powerful. Those are governments, as I said earlier, in which foreign companies steal wealth, bishops enjoy, and poor people suffer. Those are governments in which the executive branch controls judiciary. When that happens, it is not a democracy. Those are governments in which the ruling party seeks to create the one-party democratic state, a state in which there may be the semblance of multipartyism, but the government in power, the ruling party, will organize elections in which it will ensure that it achieves victory. That can be qualified as a democracy. A government that manipulates the electoral process and robs the people of their legitimate rights and interests is not a democracy. It is an authoritarian system. It is an autocracy. Our duty is to struggle to create a progressive democratic state. Thank you for the question.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Speaking of the WIA-led government, since you, by extension, just included all of them, I wanted to make sure that we walk our way there to the WIA-led government. However, you put all of them together in one basket. But I want to reference a statement you made, because it seemed like your writings or your statements, based on what you said earlier, they seem to have gotten you in trouble, and you haven't changed. You're still writing, or you're still making statements. Let me refer you to something that you said most recently, April 13th, 2022. This is what you said about the Liberian government, which is the current government. Quote, "The domestic policy of the Liberian government is based on stealing, and its foreign policy is based on begging." Professor Alaric Tokpa made this statement. What do you mean by that?
My answer is clear from what I have said earlier.
All right, but there are revenues collected by the current government, and by extensions, these revenues should be used to sustain, to keep the government going, and so forth. And our foreign policy seemed to be, we've heard the president talk about bilateral relationships, and other president would have said treaties and so forth. How can you just clamorize everything and say our foreign policy is all about begging?
In a large part, because there's much more that we could have done with our own resources in order to develop our country, in order to improve the conditions of existence in our country. But the government is not concerned about those. The government is concerned about self-enrichment. It is a criminal empire, a criminal government. And you may be aware that anybody can get money. Even the rogues, the criminals, anybody can get power. But the peace of mind in the leaders of the administration is lacking. That is why they criminalize the state. That is why they are privatized the state. That is why they are scared to leave power. That is why they will manipulate electoral statistics. That is why they will import numbers during electoral processes. That is why they will find a way for cases to lead to the scandalous Supreme Court. The shameful calculation of numbers by the Election Commission should not be taken lightly. It could apply to anybody in the political class today to the opposition, but even to those who are in the ruling party today. It is a violation of our constitution, and that's scary. That is where I come from.
Okay. I like to revert. I like to take you back just a little bit on some of the historical facts that you've provided here today, providing clarity and context as to your arrest, detention, and how the dual-led government threatened the governance or threatened citizens and so forth, quote unquote, in my own words. But I wanted to find out, what is the difference for the younger generation or the younger people that are listening to us today? What is the difference between the Moja, the Pa, the Soup, and the Progressive? What is the difference? Who are these different groups?
You've asked me a large question. This may not be the appropriate forum for elaborating all of that. However, let me say to you that all these organizations have exhibited progressive tendencies. The progressive movement of a country is not necessarily a homogeneous whole. It may be heterogeneous. But the fact is that the collaboration has evolved based on opposition to wicked governments, criminal governments.
Opposition to wicked governments and criminal governments. Yet I would have to push back a little bit, considering, peace be to his ashes, Dr. Sawyer, who was considered progressive, led Liberia though. So that means, to some extent, the progressive had power. They had the opportunity to shift the paradigm. What would you say? Did the progressive make any impact when they had power?
What is the context in which Sawyer had power? It was an interim administration that basically was earlier restricted to the municipality of Monrovia. Efforts were made to collaborate with West Africa and bring peace to Liberia. It is not possible to discuss the history of peacemaking during the war, after the war, without attributing some efforts to Dr. Sawyer's intervention. He was a brilliant leader. He participated in the politics of Liberia in such a way that brought some respectability to Liberia, in West Africa and the international community. As I say again, some of your questions need clear and thorough elaboration.
Okay.
It looks like in the near future, we may have to take these by segments and take them step by step.
Okay.
You are bringing a lot into this interview, and I respect you for that. I will encourage you to do that, because everything in politics is interconnected. That interconnection, that interrelationship cannot be ignored. For example, you cannot discuss the wickedness and criminal behavior of the Weah administration without looking back at the part LNG has played in the construction of this context with which we are confronted.
Okay. Thanks for the recommendation, and we'll definitely take that into consideration, and hopefully your schedule would permit us to set time aside so that we can do these segments as you've suggested. Thank you so much. I'd like to move forward with the progressive, and also ask you, where is the progressive now, and what is the role currently?
Progressive community is buried in thoughts.
Okay.
And the progressive community is concerned now with the reorganization of the opposition in Liberian politics by bringing the Liberian people's interests on the table and putting it forward to other political interests. They are conservatives, they are liberals, and they are progressives in Liberia. In fact, in the progressive community, there are some radicals. But it is possible for all of us to agree on the best interest of the Liberian people and work around it. if we are truly progressive, we have to have the courage to work with others in the interest of our people and our country. We cannot personalize the democratic process. We fought for democracy in Liberia, not necessarily to benefit ourselves, but to bring relief to the political class in general. It does not matter to me who benefits from the democratic process. What matters to me is that there should be freedom of movement, freedom of association, the honest counting of ballots after one man, one vote, one woman, one vote. What matters to me is that the Supreme Court, the legal system of our country, the judiciary, should not operate in the same jurisdiction as the executive branch of government. What matters to me is that there should be separation of power such that the legislature should not operate under the jurisdiction of the executive branch of government. When that happens, then you do not have a democracy. We deceive ourselves. When our analysis is restricted to that context, without questioning the fundamental foundation of our Constitution, we should not allow for that. There has to be separation of powers. There are divided powers, and there are shared functions, which we understand. But here we have a situation in which the executive is dominating, and the executive is unqualified, unqualifiable, and hereby disqualified in the administration of Liberia today.
Okay. Wow. You've said a lot in what you've just said, but I'd like to move forward with questioning, considering you spoke about the opposition, and it seems as though the progressive, based on what you've asserted, the progressive is more focused on the opposition. What do you make of the opposition, the CPP, and the internal wranglings and the back and forth and the division? What do you make of the opposition?
The CPP has broken down, and the reconstitution of the CPP, as it were, is impossible. But the breakdown of the CPP was predicted. I did have a meeting with Honorable Alexander Cummings a few years ago, and I said to him that the CPP was going to break down. Subsequently, I did have a meeting with Honorable Benina Yuri several years ago in the same location where I met with Mr. Cummings. And I said to Yuri, the CPP will break down. I am not happy that the CPP broke down, because the formation of the CPP inspired the Liberian people. And even those of us in the progressive community who were not invited to the CPP formation, which was essentially an elitist arrangement, were happy that at least there was a formation that the Liberian people were happy, encouraged to support. So not on one day they will ever condemn the CPP or start another formation in the opposition that will rival the CPP. In fact, we cooperated to a great extent. Unfortunately, the political process is dynamic and circumstances can change anytime. That is why we discourage young people who seem to be predicting with absolute certainty the future developments of Liberian politics. They have no idea that there are many teeth that are biting. They have no idea that the influences of historical circumstances will bring to bear on the process. Because their analysis is ignoring the popular interest and will of our people and concentrating more on the powerful presidency now and later. That analysis is flawed.
You asserted that the formation of the CPP, especially based on the restrictions or the limitation, it seemed as though you used the word elitist. Did leaders of the CPP ever tell you in any of your conversation with them, and you can decide to answer this or not. But did they ever tell you the reason for which they were not incorporating other parties or other members, as opposed to just the 4 and restricted to just the 4 political parties that formed the CPP?
They did not tell me, and
Okay.
I was not interested in generating answer from them on our question.
Okay.
And I was glad that they came together so that over time we could see clearly what the conservatives and the liberal class could do for Liberia.
Okay.
Because the initial framework document, for example, they say that on taking power, it is the interest of those who form the CPP, who are associated with the formation of the CPP, that will be taken into account. It was public outcry that compelled the rearrangement of that framework document. That later became problematic again.
Public outcry. I would have to agree with you on that there was a huge public outcry. And I'll have to also add that there was also huge backlashes from all walks of life, Liberians from all over, the diaspora, back home, so on forth and so forth. But also within the context of the CPP.
And I will have to add.
Okay,
I will
please.
have to add, before you continue, please, I'm sorry for the interruption.
Please, go ahead.
When that public outcry erupted, we did not be in a position on that. Because essentially, what it did is what we anticipated.
So just to piggyback on something before we progress here into the questioning, what informed you that the CPP wouldn't survive? What were some of the triggers? What were some of the factors that informed you that this CPP would crash or it wouldn't survive, or they would go their separate ways at some point? What were some of the factors that informed you?
I will not discuss all the factors with you, but I will suggest that one. The reason is that I am not happy about the breakdown that took place in the CPP. Without giving you details, I even said to some of the parties in the CPP that the National Democratic Coalition, which I had, comprises other political parties. So you did not invite us, and we're not interested in joining your coalition, but there can be basis for collaboration or cooperation.
Right.
They never took interest in pursuing that course. And we have documents to the effect. But out of respect for cultures, in certain aspect of secrecy in the political class, I cannot show this document to the public. It will lead to too many interpretation and misinterpretation of political leaders in Liberia. It wouldn't be fair to them. But those documents exist. And it can be verified because they will be screenshots as well. So it does not mean that by questioning the political ideology or a certain class of politicians in Liberia, we shy away from cooperating with them. But they were not interested in cooperating with us because there are certain elements in Liberia who think they are entitled to power. So the intense competition for presidential power, this sense of entitlement exists among the elite. The CPP is not the first coalition that has been formed in Liberia. It is not the first alliance that has been formed in Liberia. It will not be the last.
You've unpacked a lot. One of the reasons I was looking forward to this was the fact that I knew you wouldn't mince your words. I'd like to ask you publicly if we can have a copy of the documentations, if you don't mind.
You will
that
not.
you were talking. Huh?
In fact, I will delete them from my email tonight.
Okay, save it. You never know, though. Save it. You know, you never know for the future. Maybe you can reference it and put it on record or on file.
It
You
will be
never know.
saved, but at the same time, it will be deleted from my email. Yeah, I'm not taking the reason why.
Okay, no problem. Well, let's move a little further because Sekou has just joined us. Sekou, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing great.
Wonderful. Well, let me ask.
Good afternoon, Prof. How are you?
How are you, Sekou?
I'm
It is
doing
my
great.
honor to see you.
Yeah, good to see you as well.
I wanted to move before Sekou comes in with his questions. I wanted to move forward with this whole CPP stuff and jump straight into the DAL, Democratic Alliance of Liberia. In one of your statements during your public communications, this is what you stated about the DAL. This statement was made public on May the 30th of 2022. Quote, this is what you stated. The formation of the DAL. Yes, say it again, please. Say it again. I didn't.
No, I
Were you
didn't
saying
say
something?
anything.
Oh, okay.
No, I wasn't.
All right. So let me go back to that. The formation of the DAL, quote, the formation of the DAL serves to reduce the number of political parties in Liberia. The DAL promises to feed legislative candidates and a single consensus presidential ticket during the coming 2023 general election. My question to you about the DAL is the DAL a replica of the CPP?
The DAL would never be a replica of the CPP.
All right, Sekou, it's up to you.
Thank you very much. I've been watching a little bit from the back. It looks like the professor here, he is a sharpshooter, a straightforward speaker.
Yes.
And no one, it sounds different from many politicians or political actors in Liberia. Reason being that he doesn't want to put himself in a situation he can't handle. When you ask me a question, you just answer the question you ask. He doesn't go to at length to to add anything to it or that will open up another questions. And I like that. So Professor Alaric Tokpa, I want to say thank you very much. Since we are on the radio in Liberia, I want to say thank you to our followers and viewers, all of you. I want to welcome you. I want to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to my brother there, Johnson Maybon Kula, and the team in Liberia. I want to say thank you to everybody for making it possible. Today, I wasn't here, but the show been going on for at least 1 hour. Thanks to Steve and the folks in Liberia for making it possible. So, Professor, I want to say thank you once again for your debut on this platform. Hopefully, this will not be the last one.
Many things are hard work on this platform as well.
Yeah. So back to the conversation. I don't know whether Steve have asked this question before. Do you still have, or do you ever have, political ambition for the presidency in Liberia?
Anything is possible in the political process.
Okay.
But Liberia is in a state of flux. At the moment, my greatest interest is to see the democratization of our country, is to see free and fair elections, and after elections, a government that pays attention to the interests of the popular masses.
So anything is possible. That means, would it be possible in 2023? Still looking at the possibility in 2023?
My interest is to assist to organize the opposition better for 2023.
But not to run for office?
I may not.
Okay. Yeah, that I just want to get that fact. Then the election is very close. How can we deny here the creation or the surface of DAL until the CPP kind of self-destroyed. Were you waiting for the CPP, or it was because of the disintegration of the CPP give rise to the DLL? What is it?
That's correct.
Which one is correct?
Your last statement.
So the disintegration of the CPP that gave rise to the funding of DLL.
We could not allow for the vacuum. We had to continue to inspire the Liberian people to regenerate the hope that the formation of the CPP actually created.
Who created DAL?
The DAL was created through a process of vigorous consultation, debates by the National Democratic Coalition, NDC, the Vision for Liberia Transformation, VOLD, and DPPL, Democratic People's Party of Liberia, as well as other national structures like the Economic Freedom Fighters of Liberia, EFFL, and individual well-meaning Liberians that are not even part of political parties, but are very concerned about the direction of our democracy. Consultations were taking place and has continued to take place even after the public pronouncement that the DAL is being organized. And of course, we are embarking on constitutional proceedings for the consummation of the registration process with the National Elections Commission. We are talking to many other people, political parties, civil society organizations, other national structures, and prominent individuals, and even community-based structures in the country and outside the country, of course. We cannot ignore the diaspora in this business. And that is why I'm in the United States, actually, in order to extend and deepen consultation on the formation of the DAL.
So is the DAL still a forming stage, or is already operational?
Why it is true it is in the formative stage, there are political parties that are associated, that are component elements of the DAL. So, of course, operations are continuing in those very political parties. So it would not be correct to say that the DAL, technically speaking, is not operational. Because even those parties that are constitute the organizing authority of the DAL are undertaking some operations, and we have the right as Liberians to intervene in the political process at any one point in time.
So, do you guys have a standard bureau already, or that is still a work in process?
We do not. We have a headquarters at the moment, but we do not have a standard bureau yet.
And how do you plan to come up
with
give
us one?
Through what? Through a convention, through nomination process, or other people going to contest? Anybody win?
I will be blunt to tell you. I will be blunt to tell you that there will be long debates. There will be consultations. Many factors will be taken into consideration, mainly including the best interests of the Liberian people, but we will arrive at a consensus candidate. Will that be undemocratic?
Yeah. So does that mean all people will be at liberty to contest for the standard bearership? Then whatever through the debate and the through
others will be at liberty to put their interests forward and to put their choices forward. But eventually, the decision will be made by consensus.
That's good to know. Contrary to what we heard, that this was something created purposely to favor one person, and everybody gonna coalesce around that person to forward the agenda of that particular individual. That other party will just come and just support as a support base for the for that individual. But that seems not to be the case here. That's why it's important to talk to people. When you talk to people, you get more information. So moving forward, do you think the DAL can make an impact in the upcoming 2023 election, given the fact that we are already made 2020, in the middle of 2022, and you are somehow in the formative stage of the coalition or the collaboration or the group? Do you think you can put yourself together and have an impact in the coming election, given the time frame?
Yes, and we shall see.
What impact do you expect? What are your expectations?
What impact does a political formation that anticipates the capture of state power expect to make? Do you arouse the interest of the public? Do you mobilize the public? Do you give voters education? Do you participate very and seriously in the voter registration process? Do you ensure that ballots will be honestly counted? What is the mechanism for ensuring that the ballots have been honestly counted and that the results can be validated by you independently before the Election Commission brings a result or attempts to manipulate the process? So there are many things that cannot be said, but already while we're in the registration process, we have started to work hard possibilities, because the reason for the formation is to take power. And the way to take power under our Constitution is to participate in elections, but participate effectively. That is our drive. And they identified that it is not new political parties that are forming the DAL. It is existing political parties that have their various constituencies that are forming the DAL.
Yeah, so when I ask, like, what are your expectations? Do you expect to, at least by the end of 2023 election, to bring in representatives, senators, even president, or you just want to focus on the presidency?
Both.
Okay. Steve,
it is useless. It is very useless to build a president with a good legislature. The two are not mutually exclusive, and there's no tension between the two.
So my last question before I go to Steve on this particular issue, then we'll go to something else later. So since you made it very clear that you may not run for office, I just want to go further to make more clarification on this. Will you be interested in the vice presidency?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
All right, Steve, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Kane. Thanks to our listeners and our viewers. Professor Alaric Tokpa, thank you so much. A few minutes from now, we'll be opening the lines for interaction as well. After Sekou would have...
We're gonna open the line first in Liberia, right? And
yes.
And then to diaspora. Okay.
Right. So in that context, I'd like to stick with the DAL. You've said that you are not registered yet. The CDC-led government on the record have, to some extent, we had informed that they refused to register the EFFL, which you mentioned here as part of the DAL. Why, if the DAL is denied registration, what is your next course of action?
It is my hope that the government of Liberia and the Elections Commission, or along with the Election Commission, will not put itself in trouble by interfering with our registration process, as long as we are submitting ourselves to the Constitution of Liberia, and to the election laws of Liberia. Having said that, I'm convinced that the government of Liberia will not deny us registration. The attitude of government under circumstances like these might be to delay so that people get complacent and relaxed and eventually allow participation in the process, in which case the result becomes the same. We'll not give them that luxury.
I like your statement. The government should not put itself in trouble. All right. Let me move to the next part of this questioning in terms of the DAL.
Because, for example, we have already communicated with the early warning system in ECOWAS that this government will interfere with the 2023 elections. We've already communicated to the international community that we are going to intensify this communication, amplify this communication, that the government of Liberia under George Weah, a criminal mind, will attempt to interfere with the 2023 process, and it will not be in the best interest of government of West Africa. It is not a threat, so to say, because if we're encouraging violence in politics, they will not be backing on the constitutional legal process. Nevertheless, the behavior of government has created a context that will invite violence into Liberian politics. If other governments have been overthrown for misbehavior, why make it a weekly like Joshua cannot be overthrown for misbehavior? But this is what we don't want.
What makes you
Are you
think?
paralyzed by my answer?
Most definitely. Okay. Let me get to my second question here, and then we'll go back to Siku.
Go ahead, Steve. Then because that opens up our more questions.
Yeah, let me get to my second question here, and maybe Siku can circle back to this question that you've just answered. How does the DAL intends to fund and support and sustain itself, considering the hardship, the economic hardship in the country? And I'm not sure of the financial stability of most of the political parties in Liberia to some extent. How you intend to fund yourselves?
Not for discussion.
Not for discussion. All right, we'll respect that. You're on the record, not for discussion.
But are you saying to me that those with money are the ones who have the greatest or best ability to provide leadership for Liberians?
Not necessarily. But I'm also implying that politics, as you are aware, is not cheap. It's not sweet talk. It requires resources, fundings. So that's why I'm asking. How do you intend to fund yourself?
Sufficient experience in Liberia and the politics of other countries to understand what you're saying, and I agree with you.
All right, thank you so much.
I will not sit down on public radio and discuss our strategy and our tactics with you.
Okay, wonderful. Mr. Kane, back to you.
Okay, so since you may not go through the strategy and method, but can you directly answer the question? Do you think
it is fair?
Are you financially capable? Are you financially capable to carry on an election?
Do you think it is fair?
Yes or no?
For a political to discuss strategies and tactics on public television and radio?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You may not do that, and maybe that may not be prudent for you. But I'm asking you now: are you financially capable? Okay, are you financially capable to carry on the election?
As I said, not for discussion.
That means people can stay in the gap because say, well, maybe they are not financially equipped. That's what they say. That's why they don't want to answer that. So I always say yes. Maybe you're not financially equipped yet. So a yes or no. Then we'll leave it at that. But you made mention of other government were overthrown because of doing the wrong thing, of a misbehavior. And then what about the weakling George Weah? When you say other government have been overthrown before, are you saying if Weah failed to do, or the government failed to do what you expect of her to do, they could possibly be overthrown?
Do you agree with me or disagree with me?
I don't know.
The other governments were overthrown because
I'm asking you now. Is that
not true? Is it not true that other governments have been overthrown because of their lack of interest in their country, because of their criminal behavior in their countries? Isn't that true?
That is true, but that is not part of the democratic process.
Potentially,
that is not.
I am not suggesting that is what we need in our democracy. I'm advising that
that's the implication
to avoid that.
Yeah, okay. If he failed to do what you expect him to do, so that would be the next course of action.
What the Liberian people expect to do, I said potentially. If the antecedent factors have led to the dismissal of other administrations because of lack of interest in their societies and their people, and they have invited violence into politics by their behavior, Liberia, Africa, and West Africa has always required fundamental change. Liberia is part of West Africa. There was a coup d'etat in Guinea recently. At the point in Liberia, a different blood, you would not have the same basic interests and needs and concerns. Has there ever been a coup d'etat in Liberia before? Has there ever been war in Liberia before? Between dismissing the authority structure, the administration of the country, and killing more than 200,000 people, what would you prefer?
So, what you say to those who look at you?
What I'm saying is that, let me be clear. I'm saying the Elections Commission under George Weah should preside all free and fair processes. When the Election Commission presides over election, we don't want to hear all kinds of questions that bring into question the credibility of the commission. We don't want to hear about the importation of numbers. We do not want to hear about the manipulation of electoral statistics. We do not want to hear about missing ballot boxes. We don't want those concerns to be heard. We don't want to hear that the Supreme Court is saying the evidence is not sufficient to grant you your wishes. So the psychological burden, the psychological disadvantage is removed even from the shoulders of candidates that lose or win, and the shoulders of political authorities. A free and fair process gives everybody hope, so that you don't justify misbehavior by people who intervene in politics differently and violently.
All right, let's go to something else. I don't know whether you'd be willing to talk about this, but do you agree that the CPP self-destroyed?
As we have said.
Okay. So, do you have some members or former member of constituency party that were in the CPP or that are in the CPP to form part of DAL?
Anything is possible. We are negotiating with everybody who is interested in cooperating with us. But our negotiation process is not emphasizing the question of who is or not, as much as paying attention to the agenda of the Liberian people. We are around the table discussing the best interests of our people. That is why it's more important to us. That is the magnet that brings us together. That is the center of gravity that brings us together. The interest of the poor people. We are clear about that.
Do you trust the Liberian government or the Liberian justice system?
No. It is shameful, but it's a scandalous justice system.
So do you think the government handling of the case involving Alexander Commis was justifiable?
I'm not interested in discussing that.
So is DAL concerned about other security matter and other justice being distributed around the country, or they only worry about themselves and their election matters?
No, your first statement is true. We are concerned about everything that affects Liberians negatively or positively.
So were you concerned about the government handling of the Commis case?
We were concerned that the CBP should not even go to court.
Okay.
And as you can see, that category of politicians are better off outside of court than inside the court system. What is the analysis of the social democratic community in the progressive class in Liberia? The confusion and misunderstanding in the opposition was a manifestation of the crisis of the state. When you have a situation in which government administrators are amassing wealth unquestionably, in which government administrators are manipulating the process at will to promote their own selfish interests, in which they are not getting wealth from investment, but from the protection of the interests of foreign business classes, and from stealing from government coffers. It makes the control of government so attractive that in most cases, the competition for state power become a life and death struggle. There are many who know how possible it is to be able to amass wealth quickly by taking state power. That's their line of business. So it means they will encourage any confusion in the opposition to give them access to state power.
Yeah, so
it is not possible.
Just a second, not to cut you off, but you said you were concerned in the case involving Mr. Commis with the Liberian government, and you know that this government, you don't trust this government.
I was concerned that the opposition did not even carry itself to court.
Okay, so did you guys speak on the issue publicly or privately?
What do you mean by speak on the issue privately or publicly?
To express your dismay about what happened, to express your dissatisfaction of what happened. Like, say, you didn't want even them to go take each other to court. Did you openly express that?
Number one, it is now our custom to interfere with the internal affairs of other political parties. They are not part of us. Number two, as a leader of the social democrats in the progressive community, I did comment on that matter privately and publicly. And I said that the beneficiary of that process was the Liberian government, not the opposition.
Okay. That's fair enough. Steve, let me ask this question, then I will go back to you. This is very concerning to me and to many people listening and watching. When you mention the issue of coup d'etat, it's very, very alarming to many people. I'm getting some inbox here. People are kind of concerned. So I want to give you the opportunity again to clarify. You are saying that this government is criminal, and this government, assuming that the government or the National Election Commission fail to register you guys? Because you talk about if the government misbehave, I think that was in terms of cheating during the election, or if the election process is not fair and things like that. But assuming that the government refuses to register you guys, would that invite, or would that be considered another misbehavior that could invite violence, that could even lead to a coup d'etat?
I disagree with your assumption because the government will not refuse to register us.
What if that happens?
I cannot analyze what has not happened.
Okay, so that means your statement is only based on the election process, the misbehavior in the context of the election. Is that statement correct?
I don't know exactly what you mean now, but my answers have been very clear. I'm suggesting that it is not in the advantage of the democratic process for others in the political class to be denied legitimate and constitutional participation. That behavior invites violence into politics. Am I clear?
Yeah, you're clear. So when you say weakling like George Weah, do you think, I mean, are you speaking of individually or security-wide or military-wide? What do you mean when you say weakling like George Weah? Other people were, other presidents were overthrown, and we consider George Weah as weakling. So what does that mean? In what context are you speaking?
I mean that any president who ignores the legitimate rights and popular interests of the people is potentially vulnerable to violence in politics.
I understand that, but I'm talking about when you say weakling. Weakling, what do you mean?
Because the strength of a president, who rises on the popular participation of the people is within the people. When such a president ignores that his popular base, it is dangerous.
Still back to you.
And I'm not saying that George Weah should be overthrown or that I'm organizing getting the overthrow George Weah. I'm only advising Mr. George Weah to improve his behavior.
All right. Well, thank you for the clarity and context here. Quickly to our viewers and our listeners, we'll start going to the line here to Liberia, and then eventually we'll take calls from the diaspora. Please, 1 minute each. At most, 30 seconds, at most 1 minute each once we open the line. Please get straight to the point. The professor has been here for almost 1 hour, 30 minutes. He has about 30 more minutes to leave us. He has other obligations that he has to tend to. So please, again, we want to be respectful of everyone. We don't want to have to cut you off. But if you are going to be going cycles or want to take up the time, then we'll have to let you go. Please, that is the announcement. 30 seconds, 1 minute, make your point, and we move to the next person. Another thing I want to say also, we don't intend to block anyone. Please don't be disrespectful to our guests. If you write any disrespectful comments here to our guests, because maybe he's saying something that is not in your favor or your political party or your political leader's favor, if we're saying for safekeeping, zero tolerance for that. We do not welcome anyone that is going to disrespect our guests or say any funny thing. We're not about that here. We already know the ground rules. So this will be your last warning. I've deleted 1 or 2 comments. If that person or those people should post those comments again, you will be sent for safekeeping. We'll have to block you. Point blank and period. Now let's I think Sekou, I'm good on the questionings. I would like for us to turn to the lines because we have 30 more minutes or so forth to go.
Go ahead.
Line and hopefully we can get, unless you have other questions that you would like to ask.
No, I have a lot of questions, but I will allow our people to also, be a part of the conversation. To be honest, right? I like the professor. Never met him before, heard of him, but I like the way he talks. And the reason is very simple. I don't let people who beat around the bush, right? You speak your mind as you see fit, and I like that. So I would like to have another conversation with where I can have enough time to ask more questions on many relevant issues, including some historical components of our country, of our history. Yeah,
I will be extremely glad.
Okay, so
Wonderful.
Steve, you can open the line. Let me try to plug the other phone here. I know the calls are going to you, right?
Yes, some of them are diverted to you.
Yeah. I will connect the other phone, the other line.
Wonderful. So, Sekou, you put both numbers up, right?
I'm about to do it right now.
Thank you. Let's go to Liberia really quick.
Yeah, but you know what? Do Liberia first, though, because when you open the line here, people are going to start borrowing. You're not going to.
Right, we'll do Liberia first. Johnson, let's get to you really quick to hear questions, reactions, comments from our people. 30 seconds each, so that we can have enough interactions, please.
All right, Steve. So the number to call here is 0770-2031-25. Again, 0770-203125. Make your input 30 seconds or at most 1 minute. So 0770-2031-25. And let me get to the line and pick this first call. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, what's your name quickly and where you joining us from?
My name is Malaki. I'm calling from Nassau.
Okay, go ahead quickly.
I'd like to say thank you to the professor who would like to work along with me, and this all coming on to see how best we can move that power. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. So let me get to the line and pick the other call. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, what's your name quickly and where you joining us from?
Thank you. My name is Mole, as is the resident of District 17, Banjo to be Pacific. I got one question for the professor. Although I have to question, but although one of the questions was asked when he didn't answer it when he talked about weakening president, he didn't answer it according to the way in which he meant, but he decided to answer it that way. Now my question here is, you asked him if he trusts the judicial system or he trusts the Supreme Court. He said no. So in 2023, in case of any electoral problem, well, who will he go to? Which court will he run to? Say you don't trust the judicial system in Labrador and you don't trust the Labrador Supreme Court. That's my question.
All right, thank you so much. So let me get to the line. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, what's the name and where you joining us from?
This is Dr. Mark.
Okay, quickly go ahead.
Yeah, I want to really our father. But I don't know how they are, whatever our mind. So we'll be able to.
All right, thank you so much. So keep your calls coming to 0770-2031, 0770-203125, and you'll be live on Truth FM 96.1. So I don't know how many calls are we taking, by the way, the team will tell us. Hello?
Keep it up.
Yeah. What's the name and where you joining us from? Okay, go ahead quickly, Cooper.
We're not hearing you.
Yeah, I think I don't know what happened to your phone. Yeah, Cooper, go ahead. Yeah.
Hello, getting me?
Yeah, go ahead now. You are loud at least.
Okay, so I want to say thank you to the professor in the studio there, and also thank you for the show.
All right.
I like the way the professor said it all, but you know, something did my imagination. Like he said, the president is weakling. You know, I try to measure it with other African presidents who make decisions. The decision, you know, that they take it on some family members against the state. You understand? So with the proceeding of the president, I sometimes see that he's a little bit lenient to everyone in the country can be shaped.
All right, because I finally get 1 minute, so no need to. Yeah, hello?
Hello?
Yeah, your name quickly, and where you joining us from?
Yeah, this is Brown Traffic calling from Capitol Hill.
Okay, go ahead, Chief.
Yeah, I listened to the professor, and let me thank him for the expose and simple. But you know, I listened to him keenly, and he talked about, you know, weakling president, like Joy we are. So it being on the other side, it means strong leadership is when you gain opposition leader when they speak strong in the country, then you are strong. For me, that's what I'm trying to say. And because there are no opposition leaders in the jail, that people speak on national radio freely, their mind, criticize government, and they go away with it. But my question is that he has participated in election. Even during the tenure of George Weah, he participated in election. said, I mean, the election that is not free and fair. What did he do? Did he go to court to correct the mistake? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, okay, so keep the calls coming to 0770-2031-25, and I hope that the councilor is taking note, because yeah, 7770-2031-25, and you'll be live on Truth FM and make your own input on the discussion here on tonight. Hello?
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, my brother, good evening. Quickly, what's your name and where you joining us from?
Thank you. Roger Matara calling for the Korean pulpit. The program in Labrador does not require somebody to be sitting all the way in America to speak the how the guy is speaking. You need to come on the ground to assess the situation so that all of us can find remedy to it. So the question is, when will he be coming to Liberia so that he will be able to do those things that he's talking about? Thank you very much for pulling me the opportunity.
All right, so let me get the line. Pick the line. Hello. Yes, we are all good. Thank God. What's your name and where you joining us from? You're sleeping or what?
She's low.
I'm following the program religiously.
Oh, yeah, boy, you a little bit low, man. I don't know why.
All right, guys. Don't just have the professor. We are extremely well. All the points are well laid out, and the logic portrayed. And also, one of the new things that you talk about, I hear it because it is complicated. You're talking about appreciate people towards that, transform this country. This country will be better. Whether the devil like you or not.
All right, thank you so much. All right, so yeah, okay, so keep a calls coming to 0770-2031-25. That is 0770-2031-25, and you'll be live on Truth FM to make your own input on the discussion here on tonight.
So
the
we'll take
SKT.
three more calls from Liberia, and then we'll go to the diaspora.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your name and where you joining us from?
I'm Alfred Johnson. I'm from Calvary.
Okay, go ahead quickly.
Yeah, that man, that particular man already here. Because you can't be coming in a country to say you come to contest with I mean, the election, then you start to be talking with a contesting with man. That man already here. Don't come for him.
All right. Okay, so let me get to the line and pick this second to the last. Hello? Hello? Yeah, what's your name and where you joining us from?
Yeah, I'm calling from FGA community.
Okay.
And he is supposed to have Monova. Yeah, to the point. The professor tried to make some point, but he had to come that right. The point is taking well, but the way he coming is not just proper. Then you go back and study so that you can come back with so work and work together. It is too soon. Welcome to still making this country. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So let me just take the last call. Hello?
Hello, sir.
Yes, what's your name and where you joining us from?
I'm Daniel from Napa.
Okay, go ahead quickly, Daniel.
So much, but it's difficult, Professor. The education level in this country is never low to all of them for the day of the and I pray that it continues to be ready to get understanding. Everyone is fighting for the understanding. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So, Sekou and Steve, I think we are already done with calls here in Liberia. So,
Thank you.
It's back to you.
Thank you. The numbers are up. I already got a first caller here. The numbers are up here. I already got a first caller. Let me get a first caller here really quick. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from, please?
Well, good afternoon, Moses. This is Dalino Collins. I'm calling from Pennsylvania.
Dalino Collins.
The problem in our country, and let me begin with disagreeing with Brother Sekou respectfully, to say whether, Alaric and the rest of the legs have money to mobilize. When Alaric and other people pay the ultimate sacrifice for going to prison in that country before the firing squad of the military regime, nobody asked them for money. These were young men who put their life on the line. And Alaric spoke in context, and people must understand this. And I appreciate the last caller. The level of consciousness in our society, apparently we need to do more work. We need to do more work with consciousness building. Because, Moses, if you have unprotected sex, chances are you will practice the system. Whatever you sow, you reap. If you are shutting down democratic, election, if you are inflicting numbers, manipulating the National Elections Commission, look across the landscape in West Africa, especially in the sub-region. How do you think all these military administrations are making intervention?
So if Mr. Weah think and the CDC think that they can scare men away from their country to perpetuate themselves in power by, massive corruption, looting of the public resources, and showing fervent disrespect to democratic tenets, they should win. You print, you have it. So again, we know why our people have suffered too long, but again, the Weah administration must take heed and they must act accordingly and ensure that 2023 election, the processes, not just the election on election day must, things appear peaceful. The processes leading to election, these are some of the things that constitute, an electoral period. It must be peaceful, it must be democratic. You should allow other people who disagree with you to campaign and market themselves politically. Thank you, Professor Alaric Tokpa, for coming on. I think I learned a lot from you, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Talenton.
Thank you.
Well, we look forward to more callers here. We got a few more minutes. We hear from the professor. Sekou, we can't hear you. You're muted.
Yeah, so again, I want to say thank you to the many callers from Liberia. Before maybe we can give the professor a chance to respond to some of those calls from Liberia.
Yes.
But before we do that, I just want to clarify to my young brother over there, somebody that I really like, Darlington, that he disagree with me, which is obvious. I like people disagreeing with me, but I just want to clarify. I'm not saying they don't have money. I ask whether they are financially equipped to participate in the election, because I know elections are very, very expensive, and I think the professor knows that. I have a caller here. I think this is Dr. Zeze Pade. Let's see here. Hello, Dr. Pade, are you there?
Hey, grace and peace to you, Sekou, my distinguished brother.
Same to you, my brother. How you doing?
Alaric Tokpa.
Yeah, Alaric Tokpa. Alaric Tokpa is here.
Well, how are you?
My senior brother and comrade in the struggle.
My greetings also in the name of God.
The paradox of politics is Liberia's problem. And I fully remember 1985. All of those critical analysis you've expressed in your earlier statement today, I think they were quite eloquent. As Darlington indicated just a little while ago, it's going to take some level of effort of engagement within the Liberian society and the Liberian context to do more in the area of education and awareness to get our people up to speed. There's considerable level of opulence and luxury that we see within the current administration. People failing to realize that the needs and the aspirations of the Liberian people is quite crucial in this 21st century. And we are hoping that there can be a level playing field that is created. Liberia belongs to all of us, as you clearly stated. And I don't think anybody has monopoly over power. If we look at the paradox of our history, from disenfranchisement to the 1980 coup, to the rise of Dole, the process that led to the war, I think we are at the point that Liberians need to realize critically where we've come from to where we are and where we are going. And I think that is what's lacking. We need to realize that that country belongs to all of us. And it's a shame to see where it is, to see all of our neighbors around us making progress, and we are retrogressing. But the pages of history, when they are written, it will be clearly stated that where we are at this present moment is not anything worthwhile. And I think it's saddening some of us, those of us even who are within the diaspora community, that believe that we have a part and we have a role to play in the strengthening of human capacity in Liberia. Professionalism is at the bottom of the current administration. And I think it's a sad narrative. I was there in February for the first time in 21 years. The little experiences I got, it's quite difficult to understand that even some of us who want to just help, some of us don't have interest in government, but we think the well-being of our people need to be protected. And we all can do it together when that level playing is created. But welcome to the U.S., Comrade Tokpa. It's good to see you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Pade.
I have one caller here.
Yeah. Take it.
Yes.
Leave a message and contact.
Caller is sending me the voicemail. Hold on 1 second. Hold on.
Yeah.
I think that will be the last caller for the day. Hold on.
No, not necessarily. Well, we still have some time. So, if you will call it, you miss the call, don't worry about them. They will call back. If they don't, we can go back to the conversation. Yeah, let's go to the professor while the people will wait for another call. And a call come in right now. You're getting a lot of missed calls, Steve. The stuff I can see here. A lot of people trying to call you, but it's going to the voicemail. So let's talk to the professor here. So, Professor Alaric Tokpa, you listen to the many callers in Liberia and one caller here for now. What is your response to what you heard from the people?
There will always be a lot of interpretation and misinterpretation of positions that we establish, because there are many Liberian people who do not properly understand our context, but who pretend that they have the best of analysis and understanding of our situation. So it is always a delight to listen to them. This is the purpose of the conversation, to hear the views of other people as well. My problem. There's usually the analysis to go into partisan discussions in the discourse, to bring sentiment into the discourse. There's a tendency to become categorical without taking into consideration other factors. And by so doing, we establish false relationships as if they are the mere elements and variables in our analysis. It is not everybody that is aware of the way in which we do intervene. Of course, I led a process that called for the resolution of Ellen in Liberia. We're ignored by the legislature. We're ignored by the higher courts. But we are on record for writing every legislator and appealing to kindly dismiss Ellen from power. Isn't she the woman that created the context in which there's so much confusion in legislative elections today? The Constitution calls, for example, for an absolute majority. She manipulated the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court upheld a decision against the Constitution that now allows for the simple majority in legislative elections. Look at the way in which the dominant narrative has removed the legislative election of Lofa County from the choice and quality of candidates, from the popular will of the people of Lofa to the ambition of presidential materials. How can we make concrete analysis and draw conclusions in that context when we do not allow the examination of that legislative election on its own merit? But this is a matter that you have not. I'm just saying that the situation is less understood by people who are eager to make their voices heard. And once they say something or public radio or public television, they think they are correct. Okay. That kind of self-deception is part of the problem.
All right, thank you. We have other callers. Do you have callers still?
Let me guess you. I left from Liberia recently, and I'm going back to Liberia as soon as possible. Before I left from Liberia, I made a pronouncement that is still, of course, on the World Wide Web, on the crisis of the state and the potential of military intervention. So I do not make statements abroad that I cannot make at home. To the person who asked the question that I'm sitting down in America and making pronouncement, I have the right to be in any part of the world. But I can assure you that Liberia is my focus. And anything that I've said here, I've said it in Liberia before, and I will say it again.
All right. Thank you, Professor. Thank you very much. We have a caller here.
Let's get this caller really quick.
Okay. Caller, what is your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, bro, Sebu, how you doing? This is Bud Dino. I'm calling from Iowa to be specific in Cedar Rapids.
Yeah, quickly, Mr. Noah. Steve said 30 seconds, but we'll give you maximum 1 minute.
All right, thank you. It will be just 1 minute. Professor Tokpa, my name is Bud Dino. I am member of the DAL, which Dr. Wapo is the co-chairman to you.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody in mind? Like CDC, when CDC was coming up, they said that we don't want to repeat what happens in CPP. Do we have anybody, do DAR have anybody in mind publicly that you can tell the Liberian people today that this is the only person we are carrying as a standard bearer? Then the second question is, will there be any concession debate in DAL for the vice presidential position? Thank you very much. That's my question.
All right. Thank you, Steve. I think the other caller.
Thank you for the questions.
Yeah.
No, Professor, we want to take 1 or 2 questions, at least, or 3, or you can answer them together. But make sure you take notes, please.
Yeah, but let's please keep on the note before I get this caller on. The professor has to leave on the hour mark because he said previously.
On the 2-hour mark, right?
Yeah, that was the arrangement. So
yeah, but how many minutes we are in now?
We got about 6 minutes.
6 minutes to go. Okay, that's good.
So let's get this caller really quick from Canada here. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from, please?
Yeah, my name is Leo Johnson. I'm calling from Canada. I just had, I'll try to keep this very short. Professor Alaric Tokpa, great to hear you in studio and your wisdom and experience. I'm a bit confused as a younger Liberian when we hear this term being referred to all the time, the progressives. And I wonder, is it the likes of Sonia Jackson? Is it the like of you, Professor Alaric Tokpa? Is it the like of the late IGGZ Kroma? Because you guys seem to be all over the place and nobody really knows what are the progressives anymore. So can you please provide some clarity when you say the progressives? Because we've heard a lot of people that reference that when they say, like, I just mean some of them. But also I'd like to ask a very important question to you. When you made a remark that the Charles Taylor government, the Ellen Johnson Shirley government, all of them have been totally corrupt, including this government. I'm wondering, Ambassador Joseph Markey being a very staunch member of the Unity Party and the number 2 in Ellen government, are you also saying by extension that he has been part of the corruption and the corrupt process in his previous governments? And then my final piece to you will be, when you made the remark, Professor Tokpa, that the progressives, who are the younger progressives today? Because whenever we hear about all of you, most of you in your 60s and 70s and 50s now, who are the ones you've mentored? Because I would have hoped that someone like yourself and others of the progressive or so-called progressives are mentoring younger people now in the conscience of the nation rather than fighting for direct political power and control rather than mentoring and raising an army of people with the right idea as well.
Thank you, Leo.
All right, so I have 2 calls here.
Yes, I have lots of calls, but I would not be able to take them. So
yeah, so no, but after when the professor leaves, we can stay, be here and take some calls, chat some post analysis, interview analysis. So Prince, 30 seconds, please.
Thank you, Sekou, and thank you very, very much, Professor Tokpa, for availing yourself to this critical time in discussing Liberia. I know you pride yourself of the progressive movement. I just called in response to the nuanced question he asked you. What are you people have already crowned a king, and now you're looking for a queen? I don't know. Is it the kind of democracy that you people fought for? The multi-party democracy where the people will be allowed to choose their leader, where the convention will be the process in which we will be able to select people who are capable, not people who feel that they're entitled. So, Professor Tokpa, could you please address that question? Because I'm concerned about the nuance and the comment that he made regarding jail. Is that what jail is established? Is this the foundation of jail? Is it the kind of politics that we fought for almost 100 years? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Let's take the last call and then we'll go to the professor. Caller 929, last 4 digits 6915. What is your name and where are you calling from?
Oh, hi, sir. My name is Mohammed Kita from New York. How are you?
I'm good. Mohammed Keita, welcome. What is your question for Professor Tokpa?
Oh, well, I have a general question. The general question here is, I want to know if there's any process in place that can allow Liberians to be able to vote in America or participate directly into the election process in Liberia. You know, like, I'll give you an example. The Guineans in America, whenever there's an election in Guinea, they're allowed to vote through the embassy in the USA and get counted towards the total vote tally in their country. I want to know if this instrument is being formulated for the next election going forward, please.
Thank you very much. So, folks, yeah. So, those of you, before we go to the professor, those of you who are calling that your call going to the voicemail, we have 2 numbers here. The number that ends with 0783, that's the one that the call that come to me. The other one, I can see the call coming, but that one is routed to Steve. So if Steve is on the line, that means the one that ends with 2081, that means that person is on that line. And when I'm the one responding, it means that the number that ends with 0783, that's the number. So we are not rejecting any calls, but when somebody is speaking, when you call in, what we do, we accept the call, then you remain on hold until the person can finish. But if you are impatient, once you call and people answer your call, you will also leave the line thinking that you're not hearing what is being discussed. No. So I just want to make that clear. So, Professor, you listen to a lot of callers. What is your take? What is your response?
Several legitimate questions have been raised.
Yes.
It will require time to elaborate on these. And as you suggested, if the location provides itself in the near future, I'll be very much available to focus on some of these specifics.
Okay.
People who fight for change should understand that you cannot predict with absolute certainty when change will come. There's therefore the need for continuity. Yes, as part of our process, there are younger brothers and sisters that are being enlightened, that are being encouraged, to work in the progressive movement and to eventually take leadership of the progressive movement. But how will you know that a man or woman is fighting for change? By the mere pronouncement? Therefore, our emphasis is on the link between theory and practice, between pronouncements and the implementation of those pronouncements. We therefore believe that we document for public attention the way in which we seek to bring fundamental change to society. Then the public has instruments by which to ensure that we are being guided or we've been pushed into bringing that change. But if I say something about the process of change, it is human beings that bring change. But those human beings are themselves changed in the process of working for change. So beyond the abstract, the process of change is a practical activity. That therefore, it would only be possible to see the real progressive when the progressives are given the opportunity to sit around a table, bring forward the interests of the people, and work in systems that will be charged with the responsibility of implementing those programs that have been agreed. We will not be mechanical about selecting leaders in a DAL, but a formula is being devised. There are various committees that are working. I can assure you the best interest of the Liberian people will be taken into account. And that is as far as I can go with that. Voting in the diaspora is important. For several years, I've been in conversation with colleagues and friends about this possibility. But firstly, who is a Liberian? Have we adequately established Liberianness in Liberia and outside of Liberia? Are we capable of institutionalizing a transnational process that will not allow massive infiltration in such a process? But I contend that the dynamic process of migration, which set into motion the movement of Liberians into foreign countries, should not deny Liberians their right to participate in our political process. The diaspora is contributing a lot economically. The diaspora has the potential of contributing a lot in terms of ideas. In fact, the diaspora is contributing a lot of ideas in Liberia. The diaspora is investing. So why should the diaspora be denied the right of political participation? I think this is an issue that should be taken up merely by young people and amplified, and the political class should be encouraged to work hard to ensure that the Liberian across the Atlantic Ocean is placed on the ballot. And the Liberian across the Atlantic Ocean is given the right to participate in the voting process. I will support that 100%. I've discussed that with colleagues. And I think it's important for all of us to look for the best way for Liberians to be allowed that kind of participation. I want to thank you very much for the interview today and for the discussion and for the conversation. I learned a lot from you young people. It is important for me to go into critical reflection on some of the questions that you raised, but I can assure you that we are all searching for the answer. And it is important for people like us, in spite of our experience, age, and minimum knowledge of what has transpired in Liberia so far, we have to be courageous enough to question our own assumptions and not to ever pretend that our points of view are the most valid. But we will not shy away from disagreeing with those who do not present themselves in the best interest of our people. I will not shy away from putting forward analysis that brings into clear light the regime and the way it should not go. Because when it breaks down, we are all affected. And some of us are affected the most because we are the ones that have the extended families. We are the ones that have the many friends in all the counties because of the way in which we grew up, the schools we attended, the people that we have worked with all the years. The popular questions in Liberia should be examined very carefully and critically. As I was saying earlier, for example, the elections of Lower County have been less understood. The analysis, I think, has to be advanced by taking into consideration other factors, and that the legislative election should be examined on its own merit so that there can be no pretense that there is such a big analogy between the popular idea of the way in which people support legislative candidates and the reasons for which they support presidential candidates. For example, I ask, if it is true that now the capacity or ability of WIA or Ibaka have been crippled by the recent developments in Mosrada County and Alpha County, between WIA and Bwaka, for example, who is best able to bring hope to the Liberian people and organize a better government administration? But that's another question for another day. I want to thank you very much. God bless you. I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you. So thank you very much. Steve?
Thank you, Professor. Thanks for the time. We wish you the best, and we'll definitely be in touch. Wish you the best, and we'll definitely be in touch as to reconvene so that some of those questions that were posed to you can be answered.
And actually, I want the next time he comes here, we can talk about the election. He talked about, inflating numbers. He talked about, he specifically mentioned local elections. So I would like for him to talk more. And we also have some things to actually, based on our own investigation there, we also have some things to talk about. to the public, so that it can serve as a caveat or maybe as a warning, before 2023 election. But it'll be important. But I really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you. Aluta.
So
Well,
yeah, back to you, Steve. We can still open the lines. Let me plug the other phone here.
How long more do you want us to go? 5 or 10 more minutes?
I don't know. You can close now if you want. You can close now if you want.
I think we can go. I think we can do the announcements. We can do the announcements. Huh?
Do whatever you want. You know what? You don't want running the show, so you do whatever you want.
So
don't go now. We can go. Yeah,
folks, let's give it 5 more minutes. If you have any question, any concern, maybe you called earlier and you couldn't get hold of us, put in your call. But in the meantime, while we're waiting for your calls to come through, we'll be providing our own analysis here from our end. Mr. Okana, what do you make of the entire interview?
Yeah, first of all, I want to say thank you to the professor for showing up. Secondly, I found out that he is a straight talker.
Yeah.
And he speaks directly to the issue. And he's a smart talker.
Yeah.
Smart in a sense. If you are not critical, sometimes the interviewer will get stuck, because most interviewers, people who interview people, they draw questions. You can have with this kind of person, right? You cannot go into the interview with a specific, question draws and then stay with that, because you know what? Just one answer can cover that entire stuff you have. So that means you got to be very, very critical and understand politics before you can really, really have a very good conversation with him. Because, people who answer the question just one time, like somebody's in court, smart people when they go to court, if they ask you this, for example, what is your name? Where have you laid before here? They will say, for example, my name is Sekou Kene. I used to live in Ganta, and now I'm in Morovia. They're not going to say, oh, my name is Sekou Kene. I used to live in Ganta. I lived there for 20 years, and then 15 more, and then I came back here. By the time you say that, by the time you add the year, because they didn't ask you how long you live in Ganta, right? They wouldn't ask you, where have you laid before coming to Morovia? So that's kind of way he answers his question. You just answer the question you ask. So if you don't know how to ask questions, that means you're not going to get out of him. So like the little back and forth we had, that brought in a lot of things. That other people may even listen to, and they may create a lot of other questions. But overall, I think it was a good interview. Like I said, he's very smart. Some people, some people think that when you are a professor, when you are educated, you're smart. No, not all educated people are smart. Some educated people are very dumb. Some educated people are themselves not educated. But when you have the education and you're smart, they become brilliant. And I think the professor is good. Politically, I have no idea how far they can go with it. But in terms of his personality, I like him. Because I like people who are straightforward.
Yes,
good or bad, but I like for you to be straightforward, so that me and other people can know exactly who you are, instead of pretending to be somebody that you are not. So yes, overall, I think he did well, and I like him.
Okay, well, I think I listened to him before.
That was just why I call him back. You want me to add him, take him? Maybe he wants to ask something.
Yes, can I make the announcements quick? Then I can leave you all.
Yeah, okay. Let me take his call. Then okay, Professor. Dr. Kwada, hold the line for a little bit. Steve is about to make an announcement here. Go ahead, Steve.
Yes. So tomorrow we have Martin Kula, who is the Secretary General of the Liberty Party. He will be doing post-analysis of the just ended election. We'll also be pushing him tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow, July 4th. We do have him on as our guest. We'll also be doing post-analysis of the election, but we'll also be discussing the ruling from the Supreme Court as to how we are, where we are, where the Liberty Party is, what's going on, and what's the next step. He's the Secretary General, legitimate Secretary General. I'm not talking about the other Secretary General.
You got two Secretary General. We don't want.
Nobody. And people are passing around making all kind of noise. We have to legitimize it as the government legitimizes it. So yes, Martin Kula is the Secretary General, and it stands at that. It's not going to change. That's where it is for now until they can go to convention. So we have it on tomorrow. For Thursday, unless something changes, we'll be back on Thursday. Thursday, we'll have a guest from a new group that was formed. We got contacted, and we have the information by Monday. We'll post everything. We'll clarify it. They want to talk about some of the things that they're about to do in Liberia. So they didn't get interesting as we get closer to the election. Saturday, we're looking at having Dr. Alaric Tokpa on Saturday. Everything hasn't been finalized yet. We are in a preliminary.
It's Saturday?
Yes.
Okay, because somebody called me today. They want to. Actually, let me just say this. Yesterday, Chairman Mustafa is supposed to come here, but I have a problem with my phone yesterday. The mayor texted me. The mayor called. Steve himself called me and texted me. A lot of other people. Nobody could get me yesterday. So I had to call Musa today and apologize to him because he kept texting me, Sekou, what's up? Where's the link? But I saw everything last night. That was when I got my phone fixed. So he and I spoke today. He said, and I apologized to him. He said, that's okay. He said, we can reschedule. So I told him, I don't know about this coming weekend, Saturday. I said, maybe Sunday is open. But when we conclude, I didn't know. You hear me, I spoke when you already started the show. So if Sunday is available, then I can get back to him. Then you can bring.
We can definitely rearrange some things. Let's get with the people we're in talks with, and we can rearrange it to to see who can come first, who can come second. Definitely, everything is workable at this point. Nothing is set in stone yet. We are in conversations, so nothing is set in stone. So this is going to be the lineup, hopefully for this coming weekend. Please bear in mind, we could also do a show on Friday before mental health and wellness because they think getting serious now. We're getting too much calls from all around. People want to appear, they want to make their case, they want to have the conversation. So definitely. But Mr. Kane, I'll leave it with you and
Yeah. No problem.
And I will definitely follow up.
Let me get to my brother here.
I have to take care of something really quick.
No problem. So after the show, I'll call you, Steve. All right, let's go to Dr. Dr. Kwada, you just call back. What's going on, my brother?
Yeah, well, guys, I just wanted to wish you guys a happy 4th.
Same to you.
As we all celebrate tomorrow, I hope that God will continue to, strengthen all of us in the midst of the many challenges that we have. I'm sure you're going to be doing the post-analysis tomorrow from your engagement with Professor Tokpa. What I leave with the Liberian people today is that, we all hope the best of our country. We all hope an opportunity to be able to inspire the young generation. Majority of whom quite clearly do not know the history of the land, do not know the pivotal part Liberia has played in African independence, do not know even the history of the war. And that comes from trauma. It comes from a lot of challenges. It comes from a lot of difficulties. And in the midst of all of this that is happening around us, despair is taking place. And my only caution to all of us, and even those in power at the moment, is to realize that Liberia is all that we have. And in this 21st century, nobody goes unpunished without giving an account. The countries around us, our brothers in Cote d'Ivoire, the brothers in Guinea, the brothers in Sierra Leone, are all taking the path towards making progressive change for the welfare of all of its people. That is what we need in Liberia. And, the African proverb indicates, if you want to make progress, do not walk alone. Meaning to go far in life, you have to go together. All right? And I think the true emphasis of the word is what we need in Liberia to begin to inspire our people again, to build hope, to strengthen the capacity of our people. Many of us, we are multinationals now. You sit over there in Arizona, I'm talking to you all the way from Pittsburgh. I might not live in Liberia anymore. The only thing I want to do, and I'm sure you as well, is to give back to the land. Sure. And that will only be possible when the diaspora itself is encouraged to be able to participate. And I like the idea of the gentleman who called from, Maryland or New York, that said, well, if the Guineans are taking part in elections, in their elections, their national elections, then who are we to say we cannot take part? I think the process just needs to be created to make it more transparent, that the diaspora is encouraged to participate in the process, to make it much more commendable, and that we all can realize that not one person can easily make Liberia what it ought to be. We have to be looking at what? The common good of all. The Asians have adopted the model. They are succeeding and doing pretty well. What's wrong with us? You can't walk alone.
Yeah, man.
The king was saying, it's not possible.
Yeah.
We have to work together. And that is what we need. And so, the wind of change is blowing in West Africa. I can assure you, not one leader will stop the process of progress. They may want to delay it, but the God who is above is going to lead us to victory.
Thank you,
care,
sir.
my brother. Happy 4th.
Thank you. Same to you. I really appreciate your input. That was brilliant. Thank you, sir, as always.
Take care.
All right. So, folks, I want to say thank you to all of you. My brother, Daddy from Minnesota. Yeah. I want to say thank you for following. I think I can always see you here. The only thing I haven't heard you call, I haven't seen your call yet to participate, but I've always seen you here. Yeah, I want to say thank you for always following. And like everybody else, trust me, we are very proud of you guys for always sticking with SKTV. I can go to other shows sometimes. I've seen most of you there on other shows. But there are people, even if other shows are on, they will stick with us until the show is ended before you can go to any other show. I really, really appreciate that, because that is because the love you have for this platform. And we too will not be as we are right now without you. Like I said, one or two platforms may have the biggest number on the screen, but when it comes to integrity, when it comes to discussing the issues, when it comes to credibility, trust me, I don't know a platform that beats SKTV on that, who can boast of that. And that is because of you people. Because we discuss issues. We don't engage in gossip. We discuss issues that matter to Liberia and to the Liberian people. So before we close, I want to talk a little bit about Lofa County election. It has become a custom in Liberia wherein whenever an election is held, people will always jump on the street claiming victory. But there are a few things that happen in this election, in the last election in Lofa, that I must talk about. I know the show is finished, but it'll take maybe less than 5 or 10 minutes to talk about this. First of all, everybody, including myself, predicted that it is Unity Party elections to win. We said as the Unity Party is expected to win. Many people said the same thing. But we also expressed that if the election is close, that will not be a good sign for the Unity Party. And also, if the election is close, people who rig election, people who want to cheat, that's when they can cheat. If the election is close. So nobody should dispute the fact that the CDC-backed candidate that was independent performed very well, especially when the numbers were competitive in FOIA. You can tell from there that the fight was on. You can tell from there that whatever development or developmental agenda that were carried on in FOIA, that part of Lofa County, pay off. But if an election is close, whoever wants to cheat, that's when they can cheat. But if the margin is wide, they know anything they change, people will know. They know anywhere they change, people will know easily. But if the margin is around 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, that can be changed, that can be manipulated at any time. I'm not saying that's what happened, but I'm just saying that's what happened if the election margin is very close. If people who are not transparent, who are not to be trusted, that's when they change election result, if the election is very close. That's one thing to consider. Another thing is that Unity Party did not do her due diligence. Unity Party didn't do their work the way they're supposed to. Because when you see them second guessing themselves, where they change, where they did not change, what happened, what did not happen. If the Unity Party was very well organized and they had representation in all the polling centers, trust me, they will have known exactly their number before it even was announced by NEC. All the thing going on right now, people grumbling, going here and there, blah, 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 is after the fact. There's nothing you can do. Especially when the election was close in the area that you consider your stronghold. Just say you boy from FOIA. the election was very close in Foya. Some precincts in Foya, Jala was leading. He even won some of them. So what do you expect in the area that are not your stronghold? So definitely, the election was very, very close. The candidate, the independent candidate backed by the CDC, performed beyond everyone's expectation, even the CDC expectation. However, the United Party failed to do due diligence to make sure. I mean, it's very hard to cheat in Liberia. Somebody was explaining to me who have participated in the election. He said, Sekou, it's tough to cheat in Liberia, but people can cheat if the margin is very close. You can cheat from area where you're not represented. It's possible. But why were you going in an election without being fully represented? Because what happens is that every polling center, you have your representative there. They are not going behind the house. They are counting right in front of all of your representatives, your poll watchers. They're sitting right there. And the counting goes on. After the counting, that's the same paper that your person going to sign. They're going to put on the wall. And not only putting it on the wall, where people will be taking picture of it. Your person that is there representing you will take a picture, and all of them will be giving you some of the rough copy of the paper they're going to sign. So they'll take a picture of that and send it to you. That means right after the election, you compare notes. You put all the numbers together. You put all your numbers together. After you put all your numbers together, you know exactly how much you get. You know exactly how much the other people get. You don't have to wait for anybody to validate. All you need to do, you get your number, you can start dancing. But if you lose, you know you're not winning. So you know the party folks who are arguing or who are the supporters that are making noise, I think they should blame themselves for not doing enough to make sure that they have their pool washer in other area. And one of the things that I want to talk about also is that perhaps they are playing us. They are playing the Liberian people. Maybe they have pool washer in all the area, and they have all the tally sheet, and they know their number, but still pretend that they won and start dancing just to create confusion. I say maybe. If that's not the case, then that means why you didn't have all the tally sheet at the end of the election day? Why? Because I know very well there are mouthpiece and other people who speaks for them, saying that, 85%, I mean, it is almost something finished. The other one would say waiting for them. That means they didn't have it. Or maybe they had it, but because we're not looking good for them, they'll pretend that they don't have it, try to create confusion. Whatever the case is, until you can prove it otherwise, not by going to NEC website, they put in one there, they say they want it at 500, they put in one at this one. That's not important. Show me what you have. Show me what you have. Show me what was sent to you by your pool washers. But you don't be relying on something that other people wrote. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I think the people that are insulting, threatening, violent. That's not the answer. Just have tangible proof. Something that was sent to you by a pool washer that is signed by all parties and members of the election commissions. Bring that. Then we can talk about it. But if you don't have that, you're relying on other people, then something is not right. But in any case, I would think if you have a problem, the best thing to do is to go to court. Because few months, not even a few months, maybe several weeks ago, this was the same government you say you were working with. This is the same government you say you were partnering with. This is the government that you say you trusted. In fact, this is the government Joseph Nyuma Boaka himself was moving around with, smiling with Serena Seaford all over the place, getting in Serena Seaford's car. The people you trusted, the people that you work with, I don't think they can cheat you. They are friends. They are partners. Simple. So you just have to master the courage and move on. Whatever happens, already happened. Because, in fact, if this government was thinking about cheating in the past elections, you know what stopped them from cheating? They were afraid. They were afraid of the power, the noise, and potential violence that could come from a united opposition. But the government played their card very right. They know you are weak. They know, in fact, even if they cheat, some people from the opposition side and other people who are angry by your behavior to destroy the opposition, those people are not going to speak in your favor. They know that. The government know that. They're very smart. They know even if they cheat, you have nobody to talk for you. Costa just got a loud mouth. Nobody cared about what Costa says. Nobody taking serious. Nobody taking credible. So it's for nothing. And because he Costa will one tomorrow again, Maggie call him, give him money, he finish. So people, government, they know. They know that even if something goes wrong, you got nobody to fight for you. Because you still can do everything by yourself. That's just the truth. I'm not saying they cheated, but even if they cheat, that would be the reason why they will. Because you know what? They know that you cannot do anything. You only make noise 1 or 2 days and that's it. You go to sleep. They take advantage of the weakness of the Unity Party. In fact, the only person that is louder, that can make noise, is not even a member of the Unity Party. It's Une Costa. And Costa is doing it because of his anger against commies. It's not that Costa is not part of the Unity Party, but Costa's support for Boaka is because of he's angry with commies because commies did not give him what he wants. That's all. What he wants is he talk to every politician, promise to talk for you. You give him money. If you don't give him money, he bully you. He talk shit to you. He knows he disrespect you. You bully you for you to submit to him. Boakai got nothing to give him, but he's doing it because he want to hurt communists and communist people. Besides that, who else can talk for Unity Party? Nobody. So the government is not afraid. Even if they cheat you, that would be the reason. Because they know by you helping them, the government, to destroy the opposition, it means that you are left alone. You know the red cow story? I don't know, the black cow, white cow story, whatever. They use the Unity Party. They use Joseph Nyima Boakai. You know, when I used to say here that I see Boakai as a victim, people say, no, don't say that, Sekou, don't say that. Boakai not victim. Boakai know what he's doing. I said, the man doesn't know what he was doing. He didn't know what he was doing. Trust me. So whatever happened in that place, you just got to live with the consequences. Trust me. That's just the truth. The government know, even if, let me tell you something, that's why they even pause. That's why after the election, the result, they didn't come the same day, not even the next day. Because they were saying the public reaction. When the number started changing, when people start talking about, oh, you know, in fact, CDC candidate going to win, or, you know, independent candidate going to win, the reaction. Even people from the opposition bloc, some of them were dancing, jubilating, happy that another opposition is losing. Because why? Because what you did to them. So they too feel like you deserve what you get. You deserve what you were getting from the government, because you feel like, okay, you were in bed with the same government yesterday. How can you claim that this government cheated you? How can you claim that this government is fraud when you're in bed with the government and openly admitting that you're working with the government to destroy other people? So all in all, it is the weird government that is benefiting. They successfully destroy the CPP. Now make the Unity Party go on their own, all by themselves. So now they can do whatever they want to do. I'm not saying they cheated. Like I said earlier, the performance of the independent candidate was very, very great. But up to winning, I don't know. Because you do not have your own document to prove the numbers that you receive in other areas. They will say, oh, we got our talent sheet, but you can't show that. Especially in the area, in Vahun area, in Kolahun area. You can only say they cheat. Okay, you know what? They cheated. This is the document, this is the talent sheet we receive. Here is it. Then you compare that to the talent sheet they have. There's no way the government, the NEC, will have the talent sheet, compare all the talent sheet together. You have the number say this person win, and then they will go and change that for another person. I don't think they will do that, because you will have your number. With that, you don't even need to cause trouble. You don't even need to even make noise. Go to court. Hey, this is the number. Number can lie. Whatever number that you have, you show that to the court, and the number indicate that your candidate is the winner. Why not? And also the Liberian people, all of us, we all can read. When we see the number, we can say, no, this is cheating. But you're not providing anything. Just one person will sit there and make noise and just insult people, insult, calling people like son of pig and stuff like that. That's all you get. And let me tell you something today. And mark this. This government will continue to play with you. The government will continue to divide you guys, talking about the opposition, and do whatever he wants. Anything. I've not seen one person from the Unity Party or their supporters that put together the whole tally sheet from the whole county for all the precincts. They said, this is it. We put everything together and this is our number. I've not seen it. If you have it, send it to us. Then we can all make the case for you. Show me something that is signed by everybody. You didn't do that. You should have that long time ago. The very day the election finished, in 2-3 hours, you should have all the information from your representatives in all the area. So you cannot continue to divide yourself. When people talk in here, let me tell you guys today, and this is gonna be the truth for 2023 as well. Henry Costa is the agent of CDC government, and he will continue to destroy the opposition. That you will be non-entity, you will not make any impact in the election, and the government CDC will win again if you continue to trust Costa, if you continue to keep your Costa as your only mouthpiece for the Unity Party. You will lose and lose and lose every day, because he's not in there for you to win. He's planted in there for you to be destroyed. But you don't know. Just be there. Be clapping behind you when you're instructing good people. Be clapping for him when you're destroying the opposition. Sit there. Bunch of grown men and women will follow one little boy with a loud mouth for the fear of being bullied. Shame on you guys. Nobody cares about what Costa says. The government cares. The government even can just be laughing. You don't even know. I talk to a lot of government officials. When Costa making noise, they can be laughing. They can call each other. They use Costa as a comedian. And Costa is using you guys too. When he come in front of you, he will act like everything, is bad. That everything he's doing it for the opposition. Oh, you will talk one or two things, but they're not the entire government that working with Costa. You have to understand that. But there are people within the government, decision makers, that talk and discuss issue with Costa on a consistent basis. Costa is helping to destroy the opposition. But I don't blame Costa. I blame the so-called oppositions who continue to buy down to him. You saw it the other day. The election just finished. The party people complaining that they were cheated. The guy just jumped up, started talking about Musability, Interpol looking for Musability, going to dig into some kind of allegation from 2017. Something that even they had no merit the time it happened. And he went to dig down and say, oh, Musability, they're looking for him. And you put take that wrong with it. That was just a distraction to distract everybody from the election thing, whatever happened. This guy, because of the trust of some of you people, because you trusted him, single-handedly destroyed the opposition. And you sat there and you expect other people, other Liberians who are angry at you for destroying the opposition to go and support you, or to fight for you. Liberian people, they were very hopeful that CPP can make a difference. And you guys made a big difference in the elections that you were involved in that brought Yumley, Dillon, and other people to power. twice for Dillon. But this guy, CDC used him and his father Uri to destroy the opposition. And then you stay there, believing the same person, then you say one win. You must sit down there. It'll be too late before you realize. This guy, if you listen to him, he makes no logic. All he does is to insult, calling people Solomon Swan, oh, this and that, stupid, calling people all kinds of names in the book. That's all he does, nothing else. How many times did you see him campaigning for that local election before the election was held? That's why I said there are people who are already brainwashed. Even if Costa said today he is Jesus Christ, they will say amen. They will say that true. Even if Costa tells them today, hey, all of you going to go to heaven, they will say that true. Even if Costa tells them today, all of you going to go to hell, they will say that true. Because their brain is they've been brainwashed totally. They see nothing beyond what Costa says. Those people, they live in their own universe. They live in their own world. They are a true definition of stupidity. They're just there. But let me tell you something. Every good people that associate with Costa, they associate with him behind the scene. But they are not proud to associate with him publicly. Because why? They know the history. The ones that associate with him privately, they use him to fight good people. Because they themselves, they feel too big, they feel too proud to put themselves in the position that Costa has put himself. But they use him. For him, it's all about money. As long as you give him money, he's fine. I can insult him now, do anything I want to do to him. But tomorrow, if I give him money, he will go and go praise me. That's who he is. But you people are there just following, because you got no brain. Simply put, you got no brain. Trust me. If you got brain, you have been brainwashed. You know exactly what I mean. You have no sense to think for yourself. This is simple. If somebody wants to make a case, trust me, they won't insult. There will be a logic. They will tell you, hey, this is what is right. They will say, this is what is wrong. Even majority of the people that follow him, right? They are afraid of him because of being a bully. They know very well this guy provides nothing. They know very well the so-called number is a myth. They know very well the so-called number does not exist. Otherwise, this guy would have been a representative right now. Otherwise, Telia Euro would have been a representative right now. Otherwise, Benina Euro would have been president right now if Costa has the number. There's nothing, absolutely nothing. All he has is mouth. And he has those people, little minds, that follow him, that know nothing. Our life. When I see some of the grown men claiming to be intelligent, but because they are afraid of bullying or they want to associate with a bully, they call Costa a leader. A leader. They call you leaders. A leader, can you imagine? So if somebody like that, someone who is a non-entity, who run in mouths and insult everybody. You calling that a leader? What would that make you? That means, in as much as this guy is a bully, in as much as this guy is a fraudster, in as much as this guy is a blackmailer, but you calling that man a leader. That means it means that man is even intelligent than you. Everything this guy will say on his show is to insult people. And this can be used by the government. He knows what I'm talking about. Just a few months ago, this guy told you, I just got on the phone with the president. They said they will give my radio station back to me. They said they will give me the 1 year. They will give me that one. The president said, my man, it's been a long time. Are you guys stupid? This person is in bed with the government, but he will come to you to pretend just to keep his money. Because what he does, he will come and criticize the government. That's the agreement. Go and criticize all you want, but you do the dirty work for the government. At the end of the day, what happened? The government benefits. They don't care about the criticism. They know that nobody believes what Costa says. They know that. And they also know that Costa has nobody that trusts him in terms of votes. They know that. But yet, some of you will just follow. I'm really, really sorry for some of you. Pity you guys so much. Your brains are so dead. So dead. Like a dead fish. I swear to God. Man, it's not time for me to call. Who's calling, man? Maybe that guy. Hello, what is your name? Where are you calling from? Who are you? Because
I'm sorry, if it's not time to call.
I know who was calling.
No, I apologize. I thought it was time. I apologize. I'll call back.
No, it's okay. No. I'm not taking no more call. I was about to go, but just go ahead and see what you want to say.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
so go ahead. Just 30 seconds.
Yeah, go ahead. 30 seconds. That's fine. You can go 1 minute.
Okay, yeah, I'll do 30 seconds.
Okay.
Most of the things you say, I agree with you. But there's one thing I disagree with you. It is not a government who is destroying the CPP. And I'll tell you why. Listen, there are two incidences that really destroy the CPP. Number one, Henry Costa's attack on Mr. Cummings. When Tilayu was running, Henry Costa started attacking Mr. Cummings, and that's why Tilayu lost.
Yeah.
What put the last nail in the coffin of the CPP was Bernard Uri's lawsuit against Mr. Cummings. So the two incidences, how can you say it's the government?
Because the government using them. Because they work for the government. And you know that.
So that the government told Uri to sue Cummings?
The government is using Uri and Costa. Let me tell you how the thing works.
Okay.
The government has Uri by the thing. I don't want to call it because it's an old man. So
no, go ahead. I know what you mean. Go ahead.
Okay, the government got the Uri by that.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, and then Uri is Costa is in Uri's pocket. And also beyond that, Costa is all about money. McGill got Costa. Let me tell you that 100%. And I know what I'm talking about. McGill got Costa in his pocket. So anything they want him to do, in fact, Bernard Uri was planted in the opposition for the government. Bernard Uri is working for the government. I know that. So, by Bernard Uri suing Cummings, that was the latest. But before then, think about this, my brother, and you know what I'm saying. Bernard Uri was serving as chairman of the CPP at the same time creating all the controversy in the CPP. You know that. Bernard Uri, it cannot be proven beyond that. Bernard Uri was the chairman of the CPP. Bernard Uri was there in Kerensburg campaigning for George Weah. We heard that, we saw the video. What else? What did Bernard Uri must do to be proven that he's working for the government? Bernard Uri was the one sparking every controversy in the CPP, even when he was chairman, just to create problem. And when the CPP document came out to say, yeah, the CPP now is officially now an opposition political party in Liberia, guess what happened? Costa came out and say, we will not agree with anything CPP say. They must sound something just to create confusion. It must sound with us. It must, I don't know how to call it, what kind of document with them. Costa get him.
How you call it?
I forgot the term. Yeah, myself. He said, people must sign document with him. Well, he knows he's nothing, but just to create confusion.
The contract, some kind of contract, citizens contract.
Yeah, he says something. They will create some kind of contract.
Yes.
And after that, Benny, now I want to put it on the thinking cap. Somebody who is say they're in the opposition, but they will do anything on a daily basis to destroy or the creation of pandemonium or to create some kind of noise problem within the opposition. That means for the opposition. Benny Yure was the one that said, in fact, prior to even discussion of election, primary, VPS, whatever, Benny Yure came out and say, the way I see it here, and me, I know, Ambassador Juma Bogai. Ambassador Bogai is the most experienced and the most educated.
So,
yeah.
Social contract. It's a social contract.
Exactly. So these are the people. Social contract. It's a social contract. So yeah. So I mean, unless you want to say something else other than that, I will continue with my speaker.
This is politics. Anything can happen, and I won't dispute what you're saying. Politics, anything can happen, but I'll just leave it right there.
Thank you. And you know what I'm talking about. Thank you. So but yeah. So when I say A, they don't like it, but it's just the truth. So my man, you can leave now. You can hang up. So, folks, I'm leaving. But I just wanted to make those things clear. When you were going over there with Bakai to go to Lofa, they put that traditional gown on him. But you're that spot for the government. But your son is there fighting for the government. So all you what you do, you're wasting your time. So long you got Costa and Benita Ure in your corner, the opposition are going to go anywhere. The CDC will continue to win. That's all I got to tell you. You have a good day.